Welcome to the Vibes Lab, your front row seat to the science behind VIA, the Vibes AI agentic platform making everyday brain health accessible to all. Every episode is designed to reveal insights that will enhance your cognitive health and well-being. Follow us to grab your lab key and experience limitless intelligence.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. When you think about Parkinson's disease, the first thing that probably comes to mind is the visible stuff, right? The tremors, the rigidity. But, PD is so much broader. It affects mood, sleep, really the entire neural infrastructure.
Absolutely. It's not just a mechanical problem. It's a really profound systemic challenge. We're talking about approximately 10 million people globally.
Wow.
And it's fundamentally rooted in that disruption of dopamine signaling. The brain's whole communication network just gets, out of sync.
And that phrase, out of sync, that's exactly why we wanted to do this deep dive. We found some really interesting research looking at, a complementary approach using therapeutic sound, specific frequencies even.
Right.
So our mission today is to explore how modern science, maybe using systems like Vibes AI, for example, is kind of quantifying this ancient idea, using vibration for healing and turning it to actual measurable frequency prescriptions.
Yeah, it's fascinating. If you think of the nervous system as this incredibly complex orchestra, well, with PD, it's like the conductor's walked off stage and every instrument is playing its own erratic tempo. So the core idea here is that sound, if it's delivered with real precision, might actually help the body rewrite that score, find its rhythm again.
Okay, let's unpack that orchestra metaphor a bit. So start with the core problem. A healthy nervous system has these rhythmic patterns, this communication flow. What exactly breaks down in PD?
That neural symphony, it falls apart. The rhythms become chaotic, irregular. But the really remarkable thing is this chaos. It's measurable.
Okay.
Researchers have actually pinpointed that typical Parkinson's tremors, they show up in a very specific low frequency range. We're talking 4 to 6 hertz.
4 to 6 hertz. That's really low.
It is. And that specific frequency becomes the signature of the disruption.
So if the problem has a frequency signature, 46 hertz, that kind of suggests the solution might also be frequency-based? It gives you a target.
Exactly right. Identifying that specific sonic signature is really the first crucial step towards creating, countermeasures that can work with traditional medical treatments, not against them.
Okay, so the orchestra's lost its beat. How do we bring a steady rhythm back? The research seems to point straight towards something called rhythmic auditory stimulation, or RAS.
RAS, yeah. It's basically using steady external rhythmic cues. Think of a simple metronome beat, something really consistent.
Okay.
And the idea is to use that external beat to help reorganize those erratic movement patterns. The mechanism that makes this possible is called entrainment.
Entrainment. Okay, for listeners who maybe haven't heard that term, what's actually happening in the brain's motor cortex there?
So entrainment is this really natural tendency for the brain to synchronize with an external rhythm. It just does it automatically. So for someone with PD, that reliable external beat, it kind of acts like an override signal. The motor cortex is getting all these messy, irregular signals internally, right? But it naturally prefers to lock on to that consistent, steady, external beat instead. It's like the body decides to follow the reliable conductor outside rather than its own internal chaos.
And the practical result of using RAS consistently, it seemed pretty significant, going way beyond just, calming a tremor for a moment.
Oh, they really are. Using rhythmic sounds at specific tempos, it's been documented to help restore more fluid movement. We see improvements in gait stability, fewer of those really debilitating freezing episodes.
That's huge.
It is. Also, enhancements in initiating movement, and yes, a temporary reduction in tremor amplitude too. It all leads to better overall motor coordination.
So if RAS is like the rhythm section, bringing back the beat, let's talk about the specific notes now, the actual pitches that seem to have a therapeutic effect. This is where the science gets really specific about frequencies. What are the key ones they found?
Okay, so they've isolated a few really interesting ones. First up, there's 470 hertz. They're calling this one the tremor modulator.
Tremor modulator, okay.
Yeah, observations suggest this frequency seems to interfere constructively with those erratic tremor patterns.
Wait, constructively? How does that work? Interfering constructively.
Yeah, it's a bit counterintuitive maybe, but instead of just, say, overpowering or masking the tremor, this frequency introduces an opposing but stable wave pattern. It sort of smooths out the irregularity. Think of it like a sonic antidote, using physics principles to settle down down the physiological shaking.
Okay, that makes it kind of sense, like noise cancellation, but for movement. What's next?
Then we go higher up the scale to 813 hertz. This one the research labels the dopamine resonance.
Whoa. Okay, dopamine resonance. I have to pause you there. Are we really talking about sound frequencies potentially influencing actual chemical production or signaling? That feels like a big leap. How do the sources support that?
That's definitely one of the most, let's say, ambitious and highly researched claims. The hypothesis isn't that the sound creates dopamine out of thin air.
Right, okay.
Rather, the idea is that this specific tone resonates with and perhaps stimulates the neural pathways that are associated with dopamine production and regulation. It's about supporting the affected regions, helping them function a bit better, maybe, providing deep functional support to those pathways hit hardest by PD.
Okay, supporting the pathways. That's
Yeah.
fascinating. And there was a third one, or a range?
Yes, a practical range, 130 to 169 hertz. This band seems effective for more temporary relief. It's often applied rhythmically, trying to match the body's natural movement cadence. Kind of an immediate calming aid.
So we have these individual frequencies, these specific notes, but the source material also really emphasizes the relationships between notes' musical intervals, saying they're just as powerful, potentially working more on the body's chemistry.
Exactly. We're shifting a bit from pure physics to, well, biochemistry here. Think about the perfect fifth. It's one of the most consonant, most harmonizing intervals in all of music.
Yeah, feels very resolved.
And therapeutically, its effect seems to be chemical. It appears to stimulate the release of nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide, okay, that's crucial, right? For blood flow, neural communication.
Absolutely essential. Regulates blood flow, vital for nerve communication, helps reduce inflammation, all key factors in balancing the nervous system. And the perfect fifth also seems to trigger the release of natural opiates.
Ah, so you get a mood lift, maybe some discomfort relief too.
Precisely. It's interesting, isn't it? That feeling of resolution you get from a perfect fifth in music. Science might be confirming it has a measurable chemical echo in the body.
Wild. What about other intervals, like the perfect fourth? It sounds more grounding.
And that seems to be its effect. The perfect fourth acts like a stabilizer. It can help ground excessive neural activity, think anxiety, racing thoughts, which often go hand in hand with tremors.
Right.
It also seems to help balance the autonomic nervous system, that fight-or-flight response, and there are documented benefits for improving joint mobility, too.
And the simplest one, the octave. Just the same note, higher or lower.
The octave seems to provide a sense of completeness, of wholeness. Physically, it's used in some protocols to help balance the cranial sacral rhythm. The idea is this enhances joint flexibility and creates a feeling of, maybe, spaciousness, ease of movement.
So we've got these potentially healing frequencies and intervals identified in the lab, but how do you actually deliver them precisely? This brings us to a more tactile approach you mentioned, tuning fork therapy.
Yes. This is about applying vibration directly. It's highly specific. For instance, using a weighted 128 hertz tuning fork. When you apply that directly to the body, the vibration penetrates quite deeply.
What's the target effect?
Primarily reducing pain and rigidity, especially in affected joints. It's also suggested it might stimulate endocrine glands and help release deep muscle tension. Very physical.
Okay. And there was another frequency mentioned, focus more on overall balance.
That would be the lower, deeper 64 hertz fork. This one is often applied to the sacrum, the base of the spine.
And the goal there.
Really aiming for total autonomic balance, recalibrating the nervous system's stress response. This application is linked to potentially improving sleep quality, helping lift depressive symptoms, and even strengthening immune function. It's looking at the whole system, beyond just movement.
It's really clear this isn't about finding just one single magic frequency. The source material definitely highlights customization. And this is where things like AI-driven models, you mentioned Vibes AI earlier, might come in.
That really seems to be the power of the modern application, yes. Creating personalized sound protocols. It's not just one sound. You might start by layering those bass frequencies we talked about, like 470 hertz or 813 hertz.
Okay.
Then you weave in specific rhythmic patterns from RAS, maybe add those harmonic intervals like the perfect fifth for their chemical effects, and even layer in specific nature sounds known to reduce psychological stress.
So tailor it.
Exactly. The personalization means protocols can target an individual's specific symptom patterns. Maybe they struggle most with morning stiffness, or perhaps it's afternoon tremors. You adjust the soundtrack accordingly.
And the evidence is moving beyond just theory or anecdote, right? There's actual data showing results. What really stood out to you from the study side?
Well, the impact on core symptoms, it's becoming pretty significant. There was a 2023 study mentioned. It showed participants using regular sound therapy sessions saw, on average, a 35% reduction in tremor severity.
35%. That sounds clinically huge. But what does that actually mean for someone living with PT day to day? Is that the difference between, say, needing help eating and managing utensils on their own?
For many people, yes, that kind of reduction can absolutely translate into improved functional independence. Better control for fine motor tasks, maybe better balance, less daily reliance on help. It's meaningful. And then there was research specifically on the tuning fork therapy
Right.
that showed improved joint mobility in 78% of the participants study. That's a very high number.
Wow. And we shouldn't forget the holistic side, because sound therapy seems to address the whole person, not just the motor symptoms.
Absolutely critical point. Applying these precise rhythms and frequencies consistently seems to lead to tangible improvements in non-motor symptoms too. We see reports of cognitive enhancement, things like better focus, clearer thinking, and significant emotional regulation. Reduced anxiety and depression are very commonly reported benefits.
And that fundamental link between sound and rest seems to hold up too, better sleep.
Yes. Deeper, more restorative sleep quality is a really consistent outcome reported in the sources, and that often pairs with overall stress reduction, which you can sometimes even measure through lower cortisol levels.
Makes sense. If you manage sleep and stress better.
You give the body its best possible chance to cope with the physical challenges of PD.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean? We've looked at this, well, really powerful, non-invasive tool. It seems to draw from both ancient wisdom and some pretty cutting-edge neurological research.
I think it means sound therapy really needs to be considered as a potentially powerful complementary approach. It's crucial to stress. It's not presented as a replacement for conventional medical treatment.
Right, works alongside.
Exactly. But it's presented as an essential way to support the whole person physically, chemically, emotionally on their path towards, optimal wellness or the best wellness possible for them.
It really feels like a convergence, this traditional practice, the ancestral idea of using vibration for healing. And modern neuroscience is starting to say, hey, there's something real here. It suggests that ancient understanding was maybe remarkably prescient.
I think so. It fundamentally reframes how we can think about the body, not just as like a machine with parts, but as an environment of frequency and vibration that's maybe waiting to be tuned.
And that's probably the final provocative thought we want to leave you with today. If sound and frequency can have such precise effects on the neural systems involved in Parkinson's, well, what other complex neurological systems might just be waiting for the right pitch, the right rhythm to help restore their balance? It really makes you wonder how deep the body's inner orchestra actually goes.